So Peter, tell me, what's the difference between a septic with a concrete a concrete tank or a plastic tank?
Okay, the difference between a septic tank, concrete and plastic is obviously one's concrete, one's plastic. Problem with them is, so I'll give you the benefits of the plastic first. Plastic is a slight weight, you can pick it up and you can take it out and put it in yourself, but they only make them up to about 3,400 litres, okay, which is not a lot. Okay, so if you got a 2 tanks aerated system, which treats all your water and sprays the water back out on the lawn, you've got to have two tanks. And the positive of those, you can get it to site quite cheaply, and you can lift it in with a small 5-tonne excavator. So that's the positives. The negative is you've got to dig a hole twice the size as you would for a standard concrete single tank system. You've got to level the base up with sand. In some cases you've got to step it, so you've got to dig one at a certain height and another one at a certain height, so there's a lot of work involved in that. Secondly, if you've dug rock out of that hole or hard shale, you can't reuse that to backfill around the tank. So what you've got to do before you even backfill it, you've actually got to fill them with water, because if you don't fill them with water, they'll crush when you backfill them, or they'll pop out of the ground. Okay, so then what you've got to do is you've got to bring in another base fill, which is quite an expensive item to backfill around the tank. Then you've got all the old fill left over that you've got to actually get rid of at great expense if you can't lose it on site. With the concrete, what actually happens is the negative, it's heavy. They weigh about 6 tonne. But positive is we deliver them on our own rear mount crane truck. You can see the picture here on the wall. And basically what we do is we just come to site, we back up to the hole, and we lift it off the rear mount crane truck straight into the hole. It's one hole, 3x3, 2 metres deep. It's pretty simple. And then you can put the fill back in around it. And you don't have to backfill it with water straight away. You can backfill it, level it all off, get it looking pretty, and then you have to put water in. Okay, that's the last thing you do. So that's the difference between concrete and plastic. And with concrete you can walk over the lid, with the plastic you can't because it's a dome lid. And ultraviolet light, you know, they can tell you that it's not going to affect the plastic, but over a period of years you will see the discoloration of that lid go to a milky sort of colour.
What about the fittings and the nuts and bolts in those plastic tanks? Is that something to be concerned about? Do they corrode, or like? Well,
if you don't fill them up correctly, they'll break. Because in the septic tank itself, you have a divider panel, which is just a plastic divider panel that goes down in the coo wall. If you fill that one side up, it just smash it completely out. If you go to the aeration tank, which is secondary tank, you have a clarifier, which is like getting a coffee cup and cutting it in half and sticking it on a divider panel. Now the problem is if you don't fill them up correctly, you can pop it out, that divider panel, because it only sits in the coo wall. With the concrete, basically you don't have to worry about that, because in most cases it's preset into the concrete, and what we do is if it's not preset or precast, so it comes out as one piece, we actually use a product called Megapoxy, it's epoxy resin, and what we do is we actually seal the whole concrete divider panel in with this epoxy resin. So therefore you can fill one side up and then fill the other side up. But with the plastic you've got to put 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, and you've got to keep an eye on it, because if you don't do it correctly, it'll pop, and then you're off for a great expense. So for my way of looking at it, concrete tank, deliver to site, lift it straight in the hole, backfill with the material you've got, put some water in it, hook your plumbing and electric up, you're off and running. Last you for years.
And you're going to get more usable yard because you can walk over the top of it and do all of that sort of thing.
And it's going to look a lot more aesthetic, because one tank, you can plant a few plants and so forth around it, and you can actually walk on top of it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't go up and then just fall over because it is domed, the plastic one is domed.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much, Peter. I'm sure people got a lot out of that. And if people are considering a plastic septic, I'm sure that they would really appreciate that advice.
Yeah, I hope they do. Thanks for watching Garden Master.